It's always so good when we can get somebody who's like, yeah, I do not like this music, but you made me, like, if you can make somebody enjoy music that they didn't like,
yes,
that is just like, oh, that's it. Nothing you read in my resume is going to tell you that I'm qualified for this job. But here's all the reasons that I am qualified for this job. With any movement, there's two parts of it. There's understanding what you're supposed to do, and then there's letting it sink into your body. Because it's, and then after it's sunk into your body, then you can do it instinctively without thinking. Because there's like, think about it, connect it, and then just do it. The entire company was sobbing. Like, everybody was crying. And in the chat, we're all going, oh my God, this is so great. And we're like all talking to each other. And it was just such a powerful thing. Problem solving of boxing makes me happy in a very special way. I always choreograph to that jam. So like if you're doing it, like if you do a boxing money, it possibly is me, and you will hear the get is really there. Sometimes it's better for me to let another choreographer who I know is going to do a fabulous job do it, so that I can just enjoy it as a user and not have to suffer through the birth of the baby.
Welcome back to another episode of For the Love of the Map, where we chat all things supernatural, choreography, and finding joy in movements. I am your host, MJ, and today I'm so excited because we have the absolute honor of supernatural choreographer Kat on the show today, guys. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you.
So glad you could join us today. I have so much to chat with you about because I'm fascinated. I'm absolutely fascinated with your history, all of it. I know we had a little brief discussion pre-interview, and I got to learn about you, and I was like, oh, the community is going to love her. So I'm so glad you're here today.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
How long have you worked for Supernatural? I just want to ask that right away.
I have worked since 2020. I joined in December of 2020, and I was actually the very first person that was employed by Supernatural who had been a user before being in there, like not just in as a choreographer, but just at all, which was really funny because like all of a sudden, like all of the marketing people are like, can we set up a meeting? Can we talk to you? We want to talk to you. Because now that you're behind the wall, we could talk to you about the things that we want to ask, just everybody, but we can't really ask everybody. So,
right. So you were an athlete like us. You found
Supernatural athlete.
So
yep. I found it in, I'm going to say, I know we launched in April. I believe I started playing in June. And I was fascinated by it. I had been a Beat Saber player beforehand, and I actually had a Oculus Rift, which is the one that is plugged in.
Mm-hmm.
So when the Quest came out, I didn't jump to it immediately because like the tech specs for the Rift were higher, and I'm like, well, of course I want to do that. The setup for the Rift was incredibly difficult because you had to have like beacons in the room that would be watching what you were doing. Like it's not all the like where you are in space was taken care of by outside cameras rather than cameras on the on your headset. So yeah, that was a experience. I'm like, I don't need a Quest. I don't need a Quest. And then my friend was like, this is great. This is, like, and I used to go to any of the dance games that would come out, like, Dance Central. I was a big fan of Dance Central. And then, Beat Saber, I sort of saw as the next step to it. But Supernatural is like the step beyond that. Yeah. So I did finally take the plunge. I got the app and, signed up and was playing and was part of the community and all of that. And I saw that Benny posted a link saying, or posted something saying they were looking for more choreographers. And I was like, I was working a job at that time that I was not thrilled with, like I've had jobs that I loved. This was not one of those jobs. So I I applied, but I applied with this cover letter that said, nothing you read in my resume is going to tell you that I'm qualified for this job, but here's all the reasons that I am qualified for this job. And then I also said, I can tell you what makes a supernatural map different than a Beat Saber map. And like, I can tell you the specifics that are different between those two games. And I think that more than anything made them interview me. And then once they interviewed me, and they were like, you're a unicorn. We want you to try and make some maps for us. So yeah, that's what happened.
That is such a cool story. The cover letter edition, that is really what got them to look at you for sure. I mean,
oh yeah, because if they looked at me, my resume, it's like, you're a graphic designer. That's nice. We're not looking for a graphic designer.
And you, from my understanding, you're a big gamer.
I am. Yeah.
So you had that background there too.
I did. I had a gaming background as well as a dance background. And yeah, the bulk of my career, like I started playing game, like, okay, my big secret, and it's not really a secret to anyone who knows me, is that I am the oldest of the choreographers. So I am, like I grew up with games as games were growing up, like video games. So like my first gaming system was a Commodore 64, which I bet there are people who don't even know what that is. Right. Yeah. So I played that, and like I wasn't like a huge gamer for most of growing up because I went to an art school and had to commute into the city to go to the art school. So, and then I was in a dance company after that while I was in high school. So I had a lot of my time, and I did not get a chance to, because handheld gaming wasn't a thing really during when I was growing up. So it was all like, like I was out of the house and doing that. But my husband was a big gamer. We met in college. And then one of our first jobs that we actually had together was working at a video game magazine. I was in the art department. He was in editorial. And I started playing a lot of games there. And I'm a hardcore MMORPG gamer. And we have, my husband and I play, right now we're playing KOTOR. We tend to cycle through the games. So Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, we're big Star Wars fans, but I've been playing that game for a very long time. And I play, we've been going through all of the classes of characters. But I've done a lot of World of Warcraft. I've done, what was the other one? City of Heroes was fun. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but that's like superheroes. But like a lot of the games, we also, Diablo was a big one. Actually, Diablo, the newest Diablo, we got Benny, Justin, Dennis, and I were playing that together quite a bit. It was fun. Yes. But there's other games that I like to play, but those are like the main ones that I currently play when I get to play. I have done some of like Overwatch and Call of Duty. My husband worked for Activision for a while, so we played a lot of Call of Duty during that time. But it's sad to say, but it's still a kind of toxic community for Call of Duty when you're a female playing Call of Duty, and the game where you do voice chat can be.
I can imagine.
Really? Yeah. So
I can imagine. My partner, he plays a lot of video games and voice chats, and he actually plays under my name. So a lot of people think that he's a girl, and then they hear him talk and they're like, why are you fishing? Like, why are you pretending to be girl? It's a long story, but anyway, so I hear the way they chat, and obviously he has a close group of gaming friends, but when he interacts with new people, I don't know that I would feel comfortable, playing in that way. So it's 2024, come on now, people. Yeah. Let's get with the times.
Let's get with the times. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Everyone can play games, and everyone should play games and play what they like. But yeah, I try to avoid those communities now. So
I don't blame you, especially when you have so much experience with the supernatural community and it's a totally different,
oh my goodness,
accepting,
yeah.
positive place to be.
Welcoming. It's not just accepting, it's like actively welcoming. Like
It
they,
really is.
like people don't like just say, "Oh, hi." They're like, "Hi."
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
let me give you a hug. You're like, "We're so happy you're here." So, yeah.
So was it always that way from back when you were an athlete before you were an
Oh, yeah.
employee? It was just
Oh,
that
yeah.
way from
No,
the jump.
the community was one of the sweetest communities that I have ever experienced, and it's and also this company is just an incredibly sweet, welcoming company. I'll never forget, like as I think the first we have. I don't think this is a company secret. We have like meetings where we all get together called like the more you should know. It's just like uh, the old
Yeah, the old
Saturday
well, you
morning
should
thing.
know.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And in my very first meeting where I was like meeting the whole company for the full time because of course I joined in 2020, which was COVID, so everybody was at home.
Yeah.
That was the time that they announced to the company that Chesney was coming in as a guest host, and they showed like because not everybody in the whole company is in the Facebook group. So they had to they showed a reel of her journey, and then they showed Leanne's phone call to
Yeah.
to Chesney, and it was like the entire company was sobbing. Like everybody was crying. And in the chat, we're all going, "Oh my God, this is so great." And we're like all talking to each other. And it was just such a powerful thing. So as much as the community like shows their love for each other and for the coaches and for the company itself, the company loves you guys back just as much. And it's like a lot of people are like, "Oh, the companies can't love you." I think this company could in fact love you.
Well, it
We are
starts
very
somewhere. It
Yeah.
has to start somewhere. So I would assume that you guys are all just as obsessed with supernatural as we are.
We're all obsessed with making people's lives better.
Love that.
That is like a core company tenet, and it has like it always is like, how do you improve their life? And the fact that we do get people posting stuff about like, this has improved my life, this has changed my life for the better, and it obviously has changed my life for the better. But that kind of thing, everybody in the company loves, and it makes the work that we do, which is it is hard work but joyful work, but it is it can be hard work, and there's sometimes when your head is down, like some of the engineering people, when their head is down and they just can't see out the other side. I think seeing that joy that it's bringing to somebody else is really a benefit for us as well.
Yeah, impactful and meaningful. It's meaningful work that you guys all get to do. And man, just even when I'm down or just feeling bad about myself, I'll go into the community and read other people's posts and stories and connect. And I just leave there feeling so much better about life and possibilities, the future. That's what it does for me, I think. Supernatural has changed my life completely. And I remember when I first found it, like you and a lot of other people's, I played Beat Saber first. And then Supernatural popped up. And I was like, well, let's just try this. And man, it literally has changed everything, my health for the better, my relationships with my friends, with my family. I absolutely love Supernatural. And the idea that, Benny talked about how it was like finding unicorns to come and map. In my head, I see all of these creative people like you. And you were a dancer and a graphic designer. And I know you do photography. It's just so creative. And then you make us move in these, just so joyful ways you wouldn't even think you could move in a video game, in a virtual reality video game. I know it's a workout app, but at the core, what is it? And that's what makes Supernatural so different. It intrigues me. Are you able to use your background from dance when you map?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I have been my dance background. I realized I didn't talk about that. I just briefly touched on it. I started dancing when I was like 4 or 5. I was enrolled in classes, and I have studied. I've studied a lot of different styles because I went to a school for performing arts, and part of like because it was a school, you had to do tests on things. So I had to take written tests on dance. So it's like
Oh, wow.
I had to learn how to teach dance as well as dance history and different styles of dance and like do term papers on, like developments of different cultures dance. So like there's a lot of different things there that I just sort of like threw myself into when I was young. And I've always loved dance. And my mother has synesthesia, which is this condition where if you if you say a number, she sees a color. Like she sees numbers as colors. She's always had that. I think I have and it is hereditary. So she's like, "Do you have that?" And I said, "The only thing that comes close is when I hear music, I see dance moves. Like I have, and I've done it like from the youngest age, and I've done choreography for years. And like back in high school when I was doing that, I was doing choreography in high school, but then in college, I started doing choreography for local musicals. So I've done a whole bunch of musicals. West Side is my favorite. That
Oh,
has a dear place in my heart. I did that in the high school with the full ballet, which is one of the things that usually gets cut.
oh,
So I was
wow.
really happy about that. I actually, with the students, I said, if you guys want to do West Side next year, I will come and I will teach dance for 6 months before we audition. So you will be able to have a dance background, even if you are not a dancer, and be able to audition for this and really do it the way we want to do it. And so, yeah, that was great. And then, but then I sort of got away from it because like after graduating from high school, it's like, I don't want to starve in New York City and do Broadway, which was pretty much the only like
Yep.
route that I saw at that point for me. So I went into television production and took my college courses in that and went from like dancing all the time. Like literally I was be dancing 5 to 7 hours a day when I was in high school. I would dance 5 to 7 hours a day, every day except Sunday. And then I went to take from taking one dance class twice a week for an hour.
Mm.
So that like killed me. And it was very hard. And I finally was like, you know what, I've got to get back into dance. So I ended up teaching at different community centers for a while. So teaching dance is something that I'm very passionate about. And a lot of the things I taught was like beginner jazz or beginner ballet. Like that's a big thing. So we actually have a program in Supernatural that launched way after you started, so you probably never would have even seen it, but is to take you from a beginner all the way like up to in 2 months being able to do a medium. So
Yes.
it's like that, go all that way. And I worked with closely with Leanne and the curators and a couple other people behind the scenes to create that. Like, and I came in as a dance teacher, like how I would teach this if I was teaching somebody how to do these moves as a dance teacher, and how there's a form called layering where it's like, okay, you do this and you're going to do that single thing. Okay, now you're going to do it twice as fast,
Mm-hmm.
or you're going to double up the counts, or now you're going to add, this step to that step, like it just, you layer and layer and layer and layer until you have a 8 count combination. So we actually don't usually do that in Supernatural. That's not
Right.
something you see, but that's something we use to get body confidence. Cause that's one of the, the things that when we hear people unsure, like being unsure of how to do a move, because you don't, you're in, you're in the
Yeah.
world. I don't know how to do that. How do I do that? Like trying to explain it and being confident that you're doing it right. That was what we were, trying to build on, that you have a confidence in how you're moving, because when you're moving confidently, you're moving more fully and you're less likely to get injured when you're moving more fully, which is like a lot of people think, oh, I'm going to hurt myself. You're more likely to hurt yourself if you tense up. If you're just really letting it go and doing it, you're probably not going to hurt yourself.
Right. I find that to be true. I have a pretty open play space. I'd like more room, but talking my family into giving me an entire room in the house just for Supernatural is not going to happen. But I have a pretty big space, and I take up a lot of space. I like to move around as much as possible, and I find not only do I get a better workout from it, but my muscle. I mean, I feel almost obviously free, but looser. Because I feel like when I play in a tight space, like if I'm in a hotel or something, I tense up too much, and my body doesn't feel as loose.
It can actually impinge your shoulders. Like if you're holding the shoulders tight and you're not specifically in flow, but if you're holding on to these muscles, I realized the weirdest thing. Like there was something like that clicked to me one day. It's like, I don't need to hold my shoulders to keep my arms on. If I just relax, they're going to stay there. And it's like, that's a click that you like, oh, I don't need to hold on. It's like, I just can just let that go. And when I let those go and I let them move, everything's better.
That could help a lot of people, honestly, because I know the coaches, you'll hear Leanne all the time, put those shoulders down, let them go from your ears, drop them from your ears. And that is so important, because one, you're in the headset, and when you're in the headset, you think you're doing one thing and you're doing another. That's why I always suggest people record themselves. They don't have to show it, but record themselves to see what they're doing. But letting go and loosening up, saying you don't have to hold on to your shoulders. Wow, that the way my brain works, that made a lot of sense for me. And just loosen up, let go, move,
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I do know about that program you're talking about. I believe you can find it in collections. I remember when it came out, it was huge for the community, especially because, like you said, body confidence and teaching people how to safely and confidently go from low to mediums. I've actually played it, believe it or not, just to see. I've gone back just to see, okay, well, have I missed anything? And sometimes I've used it to work on my squats, to go to calibrate again and go a little bit lower, or play with something else in there. It's sort of like one of my go-to play around in maps, I guess, to experiment with movement. So I think it's invaluable. I love those types of programs. And especially as a dance teacher, now that I know that, I want to go back in and play it, thinking about you teaching us dance with the movements, makes sense.
One of the things that as a dance teacher, one of the hardest things to do, and this is going to sound like, why is this hard? But it is incredibly hard, is teaching people to shift weight. And which we try to do all the time in Supernatural. We do a lot with like lean triangles. And it's funny because we actually had a meeting between the coaches and the choreographers where all of us talked about how we do our lean triangles, because everybody does them like what we consider the movement for the lean triangles, because a lot of people consider it differently. Some people think it's more of a hip movement out,
right,
and some people will be more for me, a lean triangle is, I'm going to put, if it's bringing to the right, I'm going to put all my weight on the right, and I'm going to leave just my toe lifted with my heel lifted on the left. I'm leaning over. Not everybody does it that way, but that's how I do it and how I think about it. But when people are learning to dance, they get super nervous about letting their weight be on one foot or the other, and they always try to stay centered. And the problem with that is that if you don't lean to this side, if I say lean to this side, you can't pick up your left foot easily to step on it if you don't get the weight on the right foot. So that, teaching somebody how to just do that weight shift, pick up your foot, put it down, or just, take the weight off without actually picking it up. That's incredibly hard for some people to get their brains around and to actually get it into, because I think there, with any movement, there's two parts of it. There's understanding what you're supposed to do, and then there's letting it sink into your body. Because and then after it's sunk into your body, then you can do it instinctively without thinking. Because there's like, think about it, connect it, and then just do it. So once you get to the just do it, you are like golden, and that's when it feels great. And like a lot of times I'll be doing something in a thing, and I'm like, have I repeated it that much? Have I repeated it too many times? Or is this at the point where they're like, no, I got it, and I'm doing it, and I'm feeling it, and I'm flaring it, like I'm putting my own,
spin on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And do that. Like, honestly, any of the moves, put your own spin on it. It's meant to, dance is a personal expression.
Most definitely. And I feel that I'm always at the foundation. I want to be able to do the moves, the triangles, the hits, the targets, the way you guys intend them to be. And I always play that way my first play. But sometimes I just get so into it, the music, the movements, I add my own things in, and I'm like, well, hold on, let me focus back on the triangles. And then my second play, I'll just do what you guys want me to, plus whatever I want to do. I was never a dancer. I enjoyed dancing, but I didn't go to dance classes or anything like that. I remember one ballet lesson when I don't even know how old I was. We were in Scotland, so I must have been like 6 or 7 when we lived there. And I remember going to like a couple of the classes. It wasn't just one, but that was it. I was not that kid. I didn't do anything active my whole life. It wasn't until I found Supernatural that I've stuck with something. But now I've gone, to a hip hop dance class. Like I put myself, I want to go, to take salsa lessons. I want to do these things now. Whereas before I didn't have the confidence. I didn't feel good about it within myself to want to go out there and do it. But now I'm like, let's go. I want to go right now.
That's fabulous. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yes, it makes me very, very happy. I love dance. I love watching dance. I love moving my body however I feel to the music. And the fact that you guys do that is just incredible to me. And I think so many people, I mean, if you just look at the community, that's all they talk about. And there's like, over 100,000 people there now in the community itself. That's
great. I haven't looked at the numbers recently. There's so many people, and I go in there, but sometimes it's a little even overwhelming for us. Yes. So it's like, we'll go in and we'll look, but I think most of us, except I know like Dave and Justin, I think are the biggest hardcore, like in there all the time. I'm now more of a lurker than I am, like in full time, but I try to go in and what's funny is if somebody sees somebody commenting on a map that they know somebody else did, they'll be like, hey, Kat, you got to go in the Facebook group because they're talking about.
Well, I love that. So you guys tell each other, hey, they're talking about that one you just put out. Oh, that's cool.
Of course.
That's cool. I asked Benny if he knows one of his workouts is coming out that he's really excited about. I know you guys map so many workouts months before.
Honestly, I have no idea. It was really funny as there was a map that just came out that it was not my map a workout. It was not my workout, but it was a workout that was mapped literally a year ago. And we have some, we have plans and we do it, but then we also curation, to get ahead, we'll put together some, what we call bankable, workouts. Mm-hmm. It's like, we'll just have it. It'll be in our back pocket when we need something. It's there. So yeah, it was done super long time ago, and it was like came out and it was like, oh, okay, that's a cool one. that didn't even had no totally idea that was coming out. Yeah,
forgot that I even did that. That's crazy. But yeah,
like a lot of times it can, like most of the time it used to be when we were doing the dailies, it was a little, you had a better concept of when they were coming out. Now the packaging, it it's a little less like knowing when things are coming out. But nothing's going to be out for, I think I heard Benny's podcast and I think he said 5 weeks. I think he is underestimating. I think it's 2 months. I think it's at least 8 weeks.
Got it.
I could be wrong. And also things swap. There are things that come in hot and we have to do and get out pretty quick, but
that makes sense. Like all the special stuff or new things you guys are working on behind the scenes. That makes sense. And I mean, who doesn't want some insurance, some bankable things? I didn't even think about it, but as a company, I mean, even as a podcast, I have an episode or two banked just in case something happens. I have something I can put out. So it makes sense you guys would have workouts like that. But a whole year, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of crazy, but makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, this is a totally off subject question, but I have to ask for my friend Heather. She specifically, I told her you were a Star Wars fan, and she wanted to know, what color is your lightsaber?
Okay. See, the problem is I don't just have one. My first
Tell us all.
My first lightsaber, my very first lightsaber, was a one that I got built. I didn't get. I got it at a con. Like it's like somebody who builds lightsabers. This is, and it's a teal blade. It's a mix of it's a mix of green and blue LEDs together, which is great when it works, but occasionally it will short out and just the blue or just the green will be there. So that's a little weird. Since having that happen, my husband and I are big fans of Galaxy's Edge, and we have been to Galaxy's Edge several times. And each time we've gone, well, not each time we've gone, between the two of us, we have all 4 of the builds in both variations.
No.
So because they did a refresh of the line. So my very first like Savi's build lightsaber, it's a purple, purple crystal. And it was a for those of you who care and know, it was the Old Republic style one. It's a silver and copper and gold all together. I'll send you some pictures.
Yes, please, and we'll put it on here.
We have a total, I think, between my husband and I think we have 15 lightsabers now.
Oh wow!
So yeah, that was a more difficult question than you thought it was.
No, actually, this is great. 15? That's incredible. Like, do you have certain circumstances you'll bring out one over the other, or?
We have the most on display. Like I actually built a display for them. So yeah, we have the 8 from Star Wars. I have 2 Princess Leia, Leia Organa official blades, or like one official and one not official that my husband got me. We have the lightsaber from the Star Cruiser, and then we have a very special lightsaber that was a press gift for Star Wars: The Old Republic that we did not get. It was actually given to a friend of ours who passed away, and his wife gave us the lightsaber to remember him, because she's like, there's nobody besides my husband who will care for this as much as you guys will. So yeah, it's gorgeous, and it's like in pride of place in our display. But yeah, big Star Wars display, like literally 2 bookshelves worth of Star Wars stuff.
That's incredible. That's incredible. So, yeah. I love that. When I have to admit, I went looking for some pictures of you, and you and your husband have the best time dressing up and going to the cons and going down to Florida and going to the Star Wars area down there. And it just looks like
we go to both parks. Disneyland is technically our home park, but last year we went to Florida twice to do the Star Cruiser.
That's cool. That's really cool. So if you could name the next droid, what would you name it?
I'm building a droid.
You're building a droid. You're
I'm
building a droid.
I'm building a droid. My husband and I, after going on the Star Cruiser, which if people aren't familiar, was the Star Wars Hotel / LARP experience. He has been in a band with a friend of his for a while, and they decided that they wanted to make a in-universe Star Wars band. Like if you were in the galaxy in Star Wars, what would you be listening to on the intergalactic radio? And they decided, because it's just the two of them, that they would make a droid for their drummer. So, and by they, it's we, because I am playing the drummer in the music, and we have a gig in October, and I am physically building our droid, and her name is B34T.
B34T. So cool. So you're the drummer for the band.
Yes.
And the droid, you're gonna be in the droid?
No.
Okay.
The droid is the drummer for the band, in the fact that it is electronics drums and it is already pre-recorded. But I am the voice because the droid not only does speak, but she also sings in some of the songs. So I am the voice for the drum for the droid. So that's how I am the droid.
This is perfection, and so futuristic and fitting for the Star Wars world, and just the way all of this comes together. I absolutely love it. I would love to see you guys live. I think that would be so fun and fitting, especially when you're surrounded by other fans and it feels like you're in that universe. You're there. So
we're hoping to do more cons afterwards. The band is called the Kyberpunks. We are on Spotify.
Yes.
We're on
Everyone
Spotify.
go check them out. I love that.
But yeah, it's fun. We really, it's nice to do it. It has been a little intense building the droid, because the reason my husband and his friends have done everything sort of like on the internet so far is because although Jude, our third member, my husband is Dan and Jude started in a local 80s band in the Bay Area. Jude moved to Boston, so Jude is building the electronics for the droid in Boston and doing some of the 3D printing. My husband and I did the rest of the 3D printing, and we did the sanding and the painting, and I just did the weathering pass, where I make it look, instead of like shiny silver, I make it look like it's
been lived in.
Yeah.
It's
and lived in universe.
Mm-hmm.
Best part of the universe, lived in universe.
It is. It absolutely is. I think that it just goes to show all the different layers of creativity and outlets that you have. I just think that is so very neat. So Star Wars, I remember, was it 2021? Or I think it was 2021 when the first Star Wars workout.
The first Star Wars, I believe it was, yeah.
I have a confession to make.
Was it 20? No, I think it may have been 2022.
It might have been. I should have saved it
I think it was 2022, and then were able to bring it, and it was just one day, and then we were able to bring it back
for a week last year
on 2023, and then this year we didn't know if we were going to we were able to bring it back again, but then we also had the two new workouts.
Yes, the two new ones. That's right. So the first year it came out, I played it 7 times in that day.
You had to, because it was going away.
Yes, I had to. So when you found out that there was going to be a Star Wars day workout, were you just like ecstatic? And I mean, you're like fighting everyone. It's like, I want to map something in here.
Do you know, the funny thing is, I have been involved in curating, like especially this last one. In fact, like I worked with Kevin, one of our curators, but I helped put it together, and I helped do all the research, and I've helped with both times. I've helped a much lighter touch on the first one, but they now know that I am because they didn't know how big of a Star Wars geek I was during the first one. But now that they know I'm a big Star Wars geek, I helped with giving the coaches the storyline, like this is what's happening during it, and like here's video clips of what's happening during this song and why. And but I only mapped one map, and that map got cut. So
No.
I was a little bummed about it.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say what it is because I hope it comes back. And I was pushing for, I actually, oh no, I'm not going to say that.
So your first, now the second year, or was it the third year? Wow, I can't believe
Technically, what,
when we
of
got the
Star
two
Wars?
new ones. Yeah, when we got the
Two
two
ones
new
are
editions.
technically the third year that
Okay.
we did Star Wars Day.
Were any of your maps in there? Oh, I'm putting this out into the universe right now for you. Like,
It's okay. No, it's like there are people who are very strong with the orchestral stuff, and
Yeah.
I can
Got
do ballet because I know the ballet pretty well, and I tend to lean back on the actual movement, but there's a repetition to ballet, and like actually if you ever like watch like classical choreography for a ballet, the way that most of those ballets were orchestrated was either the like most of the time it's like the choreographer, the original choreographer said, here's the move I'm going to do, and then the composer wrote to the move, instead of the other,
the other way around. Yeah.
So I like the very first Sweat Symphony that I ever worked on was Vivaldi's Winter, and I struggled with it. Of course, it was pretty early on when I was doing it, so it was probably trying to do too much too fast. But yeah, so like Benny has a real strength with Sweat Symphonies, and as does Lowry and Ethan are all solid. And they're the guys that have done the majority of the Star Wars stuff, I'm thinking. But I love their stuff, and I did play through all of them before they went. And one of the things that Benny just did with such perfection this time through is Grievous's March. I think I can't remember the name of it, but it's the one that is Grievous. He got that insectoid feel to like, I'm moving like a robot insect. And I'm like, that, I don't think I could have done that. So bravo to you, Benny. That was really special.
That's awesome. He nailed it. You're like, okay, I approve. Okay, yes, yes, yes. These
Yeah.
are great. That's awesome. So, what is your favorite? What music do you feel like best shows off your skills as a choreographer?
I love, love, love. I'm a child of the 80s, 70s, and 80s. I love 80s music. A lot of what I do, a lot of retrofit. Um, I will do shower songs. I do a lot of shower songs. I do a lot of guilty pleasures. I do 70s. It's funny because we all had like a secret. It wasn't secret. It was secret to you guys, I suppose, but it wasn't secret to within our thing. We all had like wish lists for artists. And like, when this artist comes, I want to be that. And one of my favorite artists of all time is Kate Bush. Like, love, love, love Kate Bush. And I would laugh with Dennis. I'm like, well, if Kate Bush ever comes up, I have Kate Bush. She goes, yeah, I got you down right here. And then the whole Stranger Things thing happened.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, like, everybody's like, oh, I want to do that song. It's like, oh, no.
I asked.
This belongs to me.
Good.
So, yes, Dennis was like, yeah, you got Kate Bush. So, I'm also a big fan of, just went straight out of my mind, They Might Be Giants. I have a very weird, like, my musical tastes are very varied and strange. And I mean, like stuff that I grew up with, I love. But I'm like, House of Pain, Jump Around, yes. I want that. Like most other rap, or like I don't know if people would call that rap. It's just heavy, but I don't have a real affinity to some of the rap artists or house. Like that's not in my wheelhouse.
Right.
So I tend to not try to do those what we do is we used to have like we used to have a ranking system where we actually rolled a d20 and we had a list of like, everybody had a pecking order. And whoever was at the top of the list, if they called a song, they would get it, but then they would go to the bottom of the list and it would just cycle down. The funny thing was that Benny was at the bottom of the list, like he had a bad roll, but he was the one that kept calling things and nobody else was willing to lose their place in line. So Benny just like gamed the heck out of that system. And now that we're doing full workouts, we have a system where we can see the songs, the workouts that are coming up. And if you want to do a song, you put your name on it. And that's like, and if you really, or not a song, a workout. And if you really want to do a workout, you put your name on it with a heart. And that way, the people who are have the most affinity with that workout are going to do that music. And it is so evident when the workout and the choreographer just gel and it fits, and it's like that's just brilliant.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think being able to call the workouts that really speak to you, that you just really feel, is really cool. I envisioned that in my head this whole time, is that's the way it worked. Obviously, I figured sometimes, you don't, what if 3 people want that workout? What if no one wants that workout? You have to do it.
Yeah, that happens too. What happens is usually we encourage people to put more than one name on a workout, because sometimes, so it's not just the first person who puts their name on it. It's like everybody gets a chance to look at it and everybody puts their name on it. And then it's sort of like what works out best. And usually what will happen is if there's stuff with no names on it, Dennis will be like, please, can somebody look at this and put your name on it? And then it sort of goes down to like, the second time you look, it's like, well, I wouldn't mind doing that. That's not like, I don't want to do it, but I wouldn't mind doing that. Because there's some styles of music that don't necessarily have, like most of the styles of music, there is at least 1 or 2 choreographers that are like, really want to do that style, and they can split it and they, like bounce back and forth. There's a couple styles that not everybody is like huge fans of, and we all take our turns with those and try to bring as much, like if I have to do a workout just because I'm the only one available, or it's the right fit, or nobody else, whatever it is. And if it's just not, like my thing, I will try to find what I can. And if I really, really can't find something, I will tap out. I'll say, no, I can't do it. Can somebody else do it? Or can somebody else do it with me?
Right.
And sometimes sharing that, or we'll share the full workout. So not one person is stuck with, because it's one thing, like usually the workouts are 4 or 5 songs. If you have 4 or 5 songs, that you're not super in love with, it's okay. If it's a monster and you're not in love with it, that's like, we share that, and we always try to make it as much fun. Like, even if we're not personally in love with it, we try to make it as much fun as possible, because somebody loves that.
Right.
So to somebody, that's their favorite song. And we want that workout to be great. And the funny thing is, I've had songs that I have a deep and abiding love for, and then get into that song and realize, this is a nightmare to choreograph. What the hell was I thinking? This is horrible. I mean, it's not horrible. It's horrible to choreograph in the fact that it doesn't have a straightforward tempo, or like there was a song, I don't even remember what song it was, but it had like 15 different tempo changes. It was just like it was like this, da, 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 now we slow down. And it's like, I was like, I know I sing along to the song all the time. I know the song really well. Can I choreograph it? Yeah, I will, but sometimes, and that's why with Star Wars, sometimes it's just better, if I'm gonna have trouble with it, and those had all kinds of tempo changes. Sometimes it's better for me to let another choreographer who I know is going to do a fabulous job do it, so that I can just enjoy it as a user and not have to suffer through the birth of the baby.
I love that analogy. Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. Do you have like a dream artist that you wish you guys could get, that you not only love the music, but you would want to choreo? Like a
I
wish
mean,
list.
besides Kate Bush, yeah, I like I wish we had more than just that. I want more Sinead O'Connor. I really, really, really want
Oh,
more Sinead
yeah.
O'Connor. We have one song. I want to say it's Mandika. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Mandika. But we only have one song in. I love Sinead O'Connor, and I like Emperor's New Clothes.
Mhm.
I think that's great. I mean, there's some songs that I would love to perform, but I don't know if I would love to choreograph. Like Troy and Jerusalem would be incredibly difficult. I'm also a huge Indigo Girls fan, and I would love to get Indigo Girls, and but I don't believe we have any clearance on
No,
those.
no, I don't think so. Not in the library as
Oh no, we don't have
currently.
any in.
Got
But I don't know if we have the ability to do them
got it.
right now.
Wow. Man, when you were a graphic designer, you said you worked at a magazine. Lots of
I worked at a
magazines.
lot of magazines. Yeah.
Man, I was looking at an old school Vogue magazine the other day for the first time in a few years. I found a box of old magazines in my house. And I was just admiring the print. I mean, it was such an experience to get a magazine, open it, look at everything, read the articles, the pictures. Such a tactile experience.
Yeah.
What you worked at a gaming magazine once with your husband, right?
I have worked at probably at least seven different gaming
Oh,
magazines. The
wow.
first one I worked was PC Games, and then I switched over and I worked with at Game Pro with my husband. And when I was at Game Pro was unabashedly for a younger audience.
Mhm.
I think our audience was like 7 to 15 was the range. And in order to this was a in order to hide the fact that they didn't have a lot of writers at the beginning, and they wanted to seem like, I think they literally started with one writer, and they wanted to seem like they had a lot of people with a lot of different opinions and a lot of expertise. They started by making the writers cartoon characters. So one person could be five different cartoon characters, and nobody would ever know. So yeah, when I was at GamePro, my husband was on the edit team, and I also did some reviews, and I did some reviews for some dance games. There were some dance games
That's where
early
I was going to
on.
ask about.
Yeah, Bust. I always get this wrong. I think it originally in Japan was Bust a Move, and when it came out here, it had to be Bust a Groove because Bust a Move was a different style of puzzle game. But there was this game that I absolutely adored, where you picked a character and you would do dance battles with that character, and it was the rhythm matching game, sort of like Parappa the Rapper, if people are familiar with that. But the thing that was magic about that game is each dancer had their own style, and then but all those styles worked with all the music because you fought with different people using different, and you would play to their music when you were fighting them. But like the guy who did capoeira style would dance to the house music, and it still worked, and I'm like, that just
How?
blew my mind. But I adored that game. That was such one of my favorite games, and probably my favorite dance game until Dance Central came out. When Dance Central became a big favorite for me.
I think it's really neat that you could use your dance background, that skill in in the gaming world, in a magazine world, and then you come to Supernatural. It just all, even though when you applied at Supernatural, you were like, my resume is not going to look like I'm the one you want to hire, but let me tell you why. It's like everything led you to this job, all the experience that you've had, all the different jobs and roles. It's just like a perfect mix for you to come in here and choreograph this weird new way of moving, because it was so new. It is so new in comparison. Beat Saber, but Supernatural is not Beat Saber, it's a
No.
totally different way of moving.
It's not. Yeah, it's interesting because like Dance Central is probably the most similar in the like style because if you're not familiar with Dance Central, it was a Xbox Connect game where they actually used a camera so they could see what you were doing and see if you were doing, like, they showed you the move on screen, sort of like you're mirroring a coach or something, and you had to be in the positions, your hands, your feet, like it was everything had to be in those positions. And so it was nice that it got a full body thing, but I find that it was a little bit more static because you had to sort of almost hit things. It wasn't like there wasn't a lot of fluidity to it, and I think that that's one of the advantages that we have, because particularly in flow, there is, like, it's all about the fluidity, and it's about the, really letting that seep into you and do it and like feel that movement. It is like, I look forward to a future where technology gets to the point where we can do more with lower body other than just squat down.
Yeah.
Squat down, squat to the side. There are other planes of motion that we can't really
explore yet.
Yeah, and we play with things and try to see what we can make people do, but a lot of it is like there have been times where we're like, what if we do this move? And it's like, well, that'll only work if the coach is telling you what to do when you see that, because a lot of what we really try to do is, I want to make you do this move. I need to make you do this move assuming there are people who turn off the music. Like, we know this because they tell us this. Yes. They turn off the music and listen to their own music while doing it. And I'm like, we so carefully curate it so it matches the music as much as possible that just seems like, how is that an enjoyable experience? But if that is the experience you want, we're trying to make it work for you. Like, even if you don't have the coaches telling you that, you can see a movement coming at you and know what to do when you do that. And yeah, we try our best to make it work without coaches telling you what to do, like that it's just instinctual. But sometimes with certain moves, unless you have a coach telling you what you're doing, you're not going to get it.
Agreed. And there's so many different levels of dance. Some people have zero dance. They're just coming in basically wanting to flow or do the movements the best that they can. There's so many different levels. I think to do new movements, you have to listen to the coach telling you, and some of them at least. It's really awesome when you guys can do it intuitively. Especially there's some lasso movements that go in country workouts that you just know, you feel it instantly. You see that target coming and you're doing that move in a line dance, but
there was a line dance workout that JR and I worked on together. Where we were actually trying to get the line dances in. We had very high ambition when we went into it. Like, we were actually like, and because some of them are like, now step back, like, like, is it boot scoot? There was one where it was like, okay, you walk 3 steps back, walk forward. And then it was like a heel scoot where you turn, and in the actual dance, you turn 45 degrees. Not 45, 90 degrees. I can count. But we don't, and we tried doing it with the 90 degrees and then, be on the other axis when you're doing it, but it didn't work as well. And it's funny because I also worked like Benny and a couple of us, and I think Asia also, for the very first April Fool's one
Yeah.
was all social dances. And what did I do? I did electric
The
slide.
electric
I did the
slide?
yeah. Um, and Benny was working on Macarena. So it was like, how do
Right.
there's certain things we can do and certain things we can't do. And we
Yeah.
were trying, trying so hard to push, get the feel of it, of an actual dance without doing it. And I know that Justin took out an insane thing. I think he was doing a Blackpink song and he wanted to do the choreography from the stage show from a Blackpink song. And I'm like, that's a lot to try to do. And it's like, it worked. It was fun, but I don't know if anyone doing it's like, this is exactly the moves I do. He was
Maybe some
painstakingly.
hardcore Blackpink fans would know.
Maybe, but it's weird when you're doing it and it's
Yes.
like you're doing it and it's like you're doing a multi-person dance with one person. That is difficult.
Well, this is the kind of information that I scour the internet looking for. Like, I think personally, knowing that now about Justin and the Blackpink song, like, I think it would be really cool if they mention that, like when they feature the workout in the community or something and say, hey, why don't you watch this music video because these are the movements there. And I think it would connect for a lot of people. They'd be like, oh, wow, that's what we're doing. And then they'd see it in a whole new way when they go in and play it.
Sometimes I know that the coaches will like if we tell the coaches, it doesn't happen all the time, but sometimes it's like if we tell the coaches this is what we're trying to do with a workout, then the coaches will mention it and we'll try to do it. I had workout that didn't get mentioned because I think it was probably too high concept. Like this year's flow, and I think it was a low flow shamrock. Flow shamrock.
I love that workout. That's yours? The low?
Yes. Yeah.
This year's? Oh, man.
What it was supposed to be is one of my hobbies is Irish Cayley dancing, which is the social dancing. It's not I have done the the river dance, hard shoe, soft shoe, full on dancing. But there's a subset of that called Cayley. It's not really a subset. That's the performance dance. But it all came from the same place. But from before that, the Cayley dances are set party dances. So usually in groups of 8 people, 4 couples, or there's other variations, but they're like a little bit like square dancing, I suppose. There's like square dancing there's square dancing, there's Cayley dancing, there's contra dancing, which is English country dancing. So these are all very similar. Like somebody's calling out the moves and you do the moves, and a lot of them they're like, for this song, this is the dance, and everybody learns it and it, and sometimes they'll teach it. Like they have these things still all around the country now where you go and usually the first hour or so is teaching dances and then you do the dance later on. You do the dance with a live band playing and everybody does it. So that particular dance, that set was Cayley choreography, or as close as I could get to Cayley choreography, which isn't exact because you don't have a partner and you're not doing, the turns, but there's a pump move that I was trying to imitate with the knee strikes to get that going. So yeah.
Oh,
supposed to be
now I want to go and play that workout. I loved that workout. I talked about it. I remember playing it with a group of friends that day, and I was like, I'm blown away by this low. I'm like, this low is so good. It was just a quick hit, but it was so great. It was so great. Oh, man. Now I want to play that again. It was very flowy, too.
Thank you.
Very flowy, which you said that you don't feel, or your words were you're not very good at the orchestra type of music, but there's some mighty musicals that I
Oh, see,
know.
musicals are slightly different
Different.
because,
Yeah.
yeah, because orchestral, like a lot of the orchestral music does not form patterns, but there are patterns in the musicals. And musicals, I mean, having choreographed
Yeah.
actual musicals, yeah.
Right.
But yes, so I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Continue
I'm
what you were
glad
thinking.
you explained that to me because I was thinking, okay, well, but this Mighty musical that I'm thinking about is definitely, I mean, it's a musical. It's got one of the Greatest Showman songs in it. Or not Greatest Showman songs. What is it? Rewrite the Stars. What movie is that from?
That's Greatest Showman, yeah, that
Yeah.
is.
Man, Rewrite the Stars is so beautiful. The song is beautiful. The
The
emotion
song
of
is
it.
beautiful.
But the moves, the flowiness of it, and I just think about that movie scene, and they're on the flying through
Yep.
the air, and I absolutely loved that one. Absolutely loved that one.
I I spent long time on that, and I spent a long time watching that video for that.
Hmm.
And I did because we can go like because there's so much of that with the ropes. I think they're ropes. I don't think it's or silks, but there's so much of it where it does give you that feeling of going around, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
we have 360 degrees, so I wanted to use that and really
Hmm.
lean into going around and getting that feeling, and we it's funny because when I started, we had more rules than we do now, and now there's just like some guidelines really that of things we do or don't do. And one of the things that we always try to avoid is crossing like ending with crossed arms because it's like you want it just to be like in a neutral position, high or low or one arm, but like back into arm is on the side of the body that it belongs on,
Got
so
it.
you don't have like you don't smash controllers. And that one I was like, no, I have to end with the crossed arms. And I even ran it up. I'm like, is it okay? Is it okay that I do this? And everybody who played is like, yeah, yeah, that works. And I was so happy. That was one of the ones where I think Dave was like, Kat, you have to go into the community because they're talking about
Yes.
rewrite the stars. So yeah, I was very
It's
happy with that.
I loved it. I loved it. And you definitely got the turning, the flying. Um, I love turns. I love spinning. Spin me all day. Like I'm all about it. And that one, it's the it's the perfect intensity level to allow you to add your own moves and to really get full body movement in there.
Mm.
And it bumps up the intensity level because you're really pushing yourself, you know? Absolutely love that workout.
One of the things that I like like I when I was in a dance company, but I was in what is probably now considered a contemporary dance company, but they didn't call it contemporary when I was in it. It was a modern dance company, and the style of modern that I have was brought up in is called Humphrey Lamone, and it's all about like expansion and contraction and fall and release. So as much as I can, I'm gonna ask you to go, like full extension and like pull, ways and like do big things with your arms. It's like I like this is not does
Right.
not make me happy.
Yeah.
Like but like I'm gonna want the full thing, and if I can get you to cross and then go back and unwind it, yeah, like I'm gonna try to push because that's the way that my body is comfortable in moving. So therefore, that's when I'm listening to music or seeing, the piece. Like I was just working on a tract, and it's sort of a slow dance, promy type of thing. And when I was doing it, I'm like, okay, like, and I just like click and put targets in there. And then I have to go back in and like, okay, that's where I want everything to land. And that's the direction I want them to land. Now, what tails do I need to put them together so they get to that place? Because my body is just going, okay, this way, this way, this way. Like that's what I'm trying to do. And then having to figure out, like, this is what I want to do. How do I convert that into targets? So,
Right.
or target placement and tails. So,
It's so thinking about the future. You said a little bit earlier about how technology isn't really caught up to the way we envision we want to move in VR. Could you imagine 10 years from now, the technology, once VR has caught up to the way you want to move us and how you could translate that on the screen? That's incredible to think, for me personally, as an outsider, to think about the way you'll have us move years from now.
Have you seen the Disney tech that they have?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
that like having it, for people who aren't familiar, it's basically like a floor of tiles
Yes.
that lets you move but not move. Like you can walk, you can like run, but you stay in the center of this, and they can control where you go. Like they it's going to be what they use for rides and stuff like that. But yeah, that is, I think, the killer. Well, something similar would be the killer app in VR in general, because that would be fabulous for, like running and gunning games, but also like for Supernatural, where you could like, when you're performing, and you see this sometimes, like if you watch, I used to watch So You Think You Can Dance all the time, and I'm sort of sad that it came back the way it did. I didn't love the way it came back recently, but just watching the old stuff, when you could tell when a performer was doing well and feeling it, and like and somewhat experienced with how they took up the stage. And taking up the stage means, it's like if you're one person, if you're doing a solo on a stage, stages are big. It's like you have to have two kinds of taking up the stage. There's like a presence that you have to physically bring when you're performing, and I always see that like as through the chest, like having that like presence. Even if you're coming in, you need to go out and bring everybody in with you. But then also just moving and not being afraid of taking up space and going to all of those corners of the stage, and this is your space, own it, that kind of thing. And being able to do that virtually in a small room where you can't really run and jump and leap, but you could if VR let you.
You have that floor that we're talking about, man.
Yeah.
No, it's crazy because I'm an 80s kid too. I was born in the 80s, and we have a much different way of looking at the world because we grew up through technology. We grew up through computers and all of this stuff. So when I think about the possibility of what we could do in VR in the future, I mean, I'm still shook that we can do what we can do in VR with Supernatural. But I'm a forward future type of thinker. I'm always like, what can we do next? What can we, that's just my personality, I suppose. So I get a little,
well, we do that
excited.
Like as a company, we're kind of that way too, because we're constantly thinking, it's like, what can we do next with both the technology that the headsets gives us, but also just how can we like push what we already have more. And it's like a lot of times when we're trying to do something, like one of the things we did in that we worked on for so very long and like trying to like finalize it and get it perfect in that hoedown throwdown line dance one was Grapevines.
Lasso, it's called Lassos and Line Dance. I believe it's a medium flow. I'll pop it up here, but
Grapevines, they're like a staple for like basic movement. It's like we've done step together step, that's one thing, but it's like if you're gonna do country line dancing, you really need to be able to grapevine. And I'm pretty sure Duana taught how to do a grapevine
in the warm up.
It's like, it's like how many triangles do we use? How many is too much? Like, what conveys this? Like, are we actually going to try to ask people to step behind? You step right, you step behind left, you stepped out right again, and then you have to switch to the other direction. It's like just trying. Like, this is a move that like JR and I could do in our sleep, but really, really honing in on how to convey that information visually when you're not like footprints on the ground, when it's
Right.
just triangles, like where your body should be in space. We like really, really sweat the details on that. I'm not sure it's perfect, but we really, really wanted it to be, and we
I
tried.
I think for what supernatural is, it is perfect because you can't put feet on the ground. You can't move forward and backwards. You can't put targets or triangles in that way. I think you guys did an incredible job. I remember when that workout came out and the community was so crazy about it. I played it and I watched the warm up because one of my friends was like, there's a grapevine. And I said, I bet Tawana talks about it in the warm up. So I won't skip it. I'll listen. And I love when you guys add that kind of extra special stuff in it, because if it's too much for some people, they can just do the triangles. But for people who
They can just
right.
You can just step side to side.
Yeah.
It works. But if you want it to feel like, like if you want it to feel like a line dance, do it as a grapevine. Like do that boot scoot when that time comes. That's stuff we can't show you to do, but we allowed for it. The timing is there. The space is there. I think we were trying to do it with knee strikes. I think it was like after knee strikes came out. It's so funny because I wasn't there from the start, but I was there for developing the knee strikes and doing that, and also developing boxing and going there. And boxing, I have to say, as much as it's funny because as a dancer, I love flow, and I do flow and I enjoy flow, but I adore the boxing and I adore the problem solving. I think this is the puzzle person in me because I am a huge puzzle person. The problem solving of boxing makes me happy in a very special way because we have basically, I'm going to say four, we have styles of punches. You have your front punches, you have your uppercuts, and you have your hooks. I mean, technically we have body hooks as well as hop.
Yeah.
So limited vocabulary, very limited vocabulary. And then you've got your slides and your ducks and your blocks. That's it. We have so many, we have a ton of snippets for flow. We have a ton of things that we can do for flow. Flow is a little like when you get in a blank page in flow, it's almost overwhelming because there's just so much you could possibly do. But boxing, it's like, well, you only have these things and you need to make everything work from these, this list of ingredients, and making it musical and fun and also feel like boxing with that limited palette is really super intriguing to me.
It tickles your brain to map boxing. It sounds
It
like
does.
you almost prefer to map boxing.
It depends. It also is, there are songs that are boxing songs.
Yes.
There are songs that just live in boxing.
For sure.
And then there are songs that are much better suited to flow. So, and it's funny because I've done some songs in both. I think I want to say I did Encanto. I did Under Pressure.
In boxing
Both
and in flow?
I think so. I'm not positive. Now I'm not sure if it was if it was because I think we did we do Encanto in boxing? I'm not sure.
You did.
I may be thinking of a different song.
I remember.
Okay.
I will look as you are telling the story, and if it's wrong, then.
But yeah, it's and it's interesting to look and think about a song in both dimensions. Like what you hit in one song, what's the accents that you hit in this song and then that you would hit in another.
Yeah, the difference. What parts of the music you would focus on? You're right. That is interesting.
Yeah. And there's a lot. I mean, nowadays there's quite a few songs that have been done in both boxing and flow. So
surface pressure is in boxing and flow.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
in the Encanto.
And I did both of those.
Really? Oh, that's pretty neat. Oh, man. Now I got to go see the difference, what parts of the music and movement you decided
And
for
you
us
know
to
what?
play.
I don't even know, because it was like probably a year between them. Like doing the first one, we did Flow first for a while, and then we did like a special Encanto thing, and trying to figure out, like, I think what were the other songs in that Encanto?
In the Encanto, there were in the boxing, the family madrigal. We don't talk about Bruno, which is also in Flow.
Yeah.
What else can I do? I don't think that's in Flow.
I don't think that is. No.
And then Columbia, which I believe that's the last song in the Flow one.
In the Flow. Yeah. I think I did I'm pretty sure I did What Else Can I Do as well in that one. I think I did those two. The two sisters, obviously.
Yes, I'm hearing it in my head. What else can I? No, I'm not going to sing it, but I can hear it.
It's it's what, as soon as I forget her name, but the eldest sister, the perfect one, as soon as she learns she can do weird stuff, like she's like, okay, what else can I do?
Right.
So, yeah.
Making all the flowers and all the things pretty. You were talking about the grapevine and the movement.
Yes.
There is a workout. Well, there's a song that you mapped recently in a monster. The monster is a medium flow monster. Yeah. Shake It Off. The very last song. I may have squealed with excitement when I realized you placed the triangles in that way during the Taylor Swift song when it goes Shake It Off, so that I would shake and shimmy. And it was so awesome. That's one of those hidden things where it's like, I can tell you really put a lot of thought. How can I make them do this? And it helped that Dwana also called it out too, but I just thought that was fantastic. That's a real Easter egg to me in a game, Yes. That's something.
Yeah, that song was choreographed around that concept, because I'm like, what can I do? Like, I was thinking, well, do I do like shake it off, like, and I considered that and I kept it off, and I'm like, I really just want to do a shoulder shimmy. I just want like, that's how I feel like, that song should go. And I spent a lot of time watching the video for that, and I'm like, there's not a lot I can pick up from here.
No, it's pretty basic
it's
with movements in there. I mean, they're cheerleaders and all that. My daughter was obsessed with that song.
I actually, that was a song where I went really hard in the cheerleading section. My boyfriend has a new, so I went really hard, and they're like, okay, chill out. It's too much. That's too much. It's just that this is the end of a monster, a medium monster, and that is definitely high. So I'm like, okay, fine. But that one was just like pure joy. And what's funny is I also did Vampire, which is I think the song right before that.
Vampire.
And I was not familiar with that song until I choreographed it or was working on it. And I was like, well, this is really like slow, and it's slow. And then it kicked in. And I'm like, oh, okay. All right, we're going to have some fun with this. And that was just a really good thing. I tag teamed that one with Lowry, who did some really great work on some of the other stuff. So that was a very solid monster, and I was very happy to be involved with that.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this. At first, I was like, oh no, all the death dots, I have to do a monster. But I was very, very, very happy with it. It was a solid medium. It was fun. It had surprises. The movements felt so comfortable. I really, really enjoyed this monster. I was happy when you called it out before we came here to do this because I had never played it. And
oh, wow.
I had never played it. And so when you sent it to me and said, well, I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do it. And so I did it, and I was very, very happy. I would not have picked it for myself, even though I liked the majority of the music. So I don't know why, to me, I was like, no, this one's not for me.
I'm going to do a quote that I'm not going to attribute it because I don't want to like out somebody. But one of the coaches who played it, and I'm not even sure if it's the coach that did it, so I'm not. In fact, I don't think it's the coach who did it. But a coach played through it and said, "I am not a Swiftie." It's like, and I saw this and I was dreading it, and I played through it and I loved every last second of it. I'm like, yes. It's always so good when we can get somebody who's like, yeah, I do not like this music, but
Yeah.
you made me, like, if you can make somebody enjoy music that they didn't like,
Yes.
that is just like, oh, that's so good.
I absolutely agree with that, because there are a lot of times when I'm with friends working out and we're playing workouts that just came out, and it's not necessarily music I like country. I am not a country fan. However, the last few country workouts that have been put out have been so fun that I've actually caught myself singing and saying that I've enjoyed them. And to be able to do that, that's the magic of Supernatural for me. It's just takes it to a whole new level. I would never have imagined I'd be in there doing that or playing the retrofits. That's not my jam to work out to, but I enjoy them. You know, that's your jams. You love retrofits.
I love retrofits. Yeah. And part of it also helps that, I think the better you know a song, the more you can like pick stuff up off of or out of it, because, my husband, like I said, my husband has did a cover band with his friend, and it was an 80s cover band. So for 6 years, they did I think they had like a 200 song set list, and almost all of the songs that they used to play are in the game. So like knowing those songs and coming it out. And one of the things that people of my age will know, that there is a chant that goes along with Moni Moni that is not in the song. It's like, here she comes out going Moni Moni. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know what your rating is, and I don't want to spoil it.
No,
but
you're good.
there's get, and that's said there.
Bleeped out.
And every time that gets
In
that gets bleeped
Supernatural.
out. But every time I hear that song, I hear that part of the song, even though it's not in there, because every time I would hear it with friends, it would get sung.
Right.
So, when they would do it in the band, it would get sung by the audience. So, I always choreograph to that jam. So, like, if you're doing it, like, if you do a boxing Moni Moni, it possibly is me, and you will hear the get is really there.
I love that. And so now, because people who are fans, they're probably singing that part, even though it's not actually in Supernatural. And so now they'll hit the move with it too. That's rad. I like that you add that. That's I think
Easter egg.
That's
That's an Easter egg. Also, Sweet Georgia Brown, I've done once or twice. And I think in the medium, it has the dun, da, da. I mean, which is not there, but everybody sings it like sweet. Is it Georgia Brown? Am I doing the right song? Caroline, Sweet Caroline. Sweet Caroline. Da, da, da.
Yeah.
Good times ever. Yeah. Yeah. That's always there when I do it. It's like, it's not in the music, but it is there, because if you know that music, it's there. And if you don't know that music, you should know it, because when you hear it in public, people are going to be singing.
That's true. That's very, very true. Oh, man. I'm trying to think if there's another boxing workout that is late. It's called a girl power, but for me, it is like a mixture of a shower song's guilty pleasure. It was the Lilith Force with Leanne. All of those songs in there. It's got Alanis Morissette. I mean, this one is just like a therapy session for us chicks. So I guess that it does make sense that it's a girl power then. Here we go. Full circle on that moment.
I have like if you ask me what my my husband says that my favorite type of music is what he refers to as wounded women, which is female singer-songwriters who have been through it.
Yes.
So yeah, Alanis, or Melissa Etheridge, Indigo Girls are definitely part of it. Like Vanessa Carlton, oh goodness, Sarah Bareilles, like all of those, like that. Sinead O'Connor would.
Yeah, Sinead
like,
O'Connor would be for sure.
that one of the an artist that I'd love to get more of in is oh God, I had her name and then it completely went out of my head. She did. We have one song of hers which is Luca.
I'm trying to think.
Tell myself.
Yeah, got to figure it out.
I'm actually looking up.
Okay,
I'm
do
actually
it.
looking it up. But the name is Luca. I live on the second. Suzanne Vega.
Okay, yeah.
So there's a lot of her songs that I absolutely love and would love to get in. But yeah. But
I
the
love
Wounded
it.
Women and Lilith Fair was definitely in that
Category
Wounded
that
Women.
you're into.
We'd never call it Wounded Women
No.
because and I can't like pitch it as Wounded Women because that sounds negative and it's not
Right.
meant to be negative because they're all like strong women, but they
strong.
yeah.
And those songs are so powerful lyrically and musically, and then you add in the boxing and you just feel so powerful. Like it's a whole therapy session to go into this workout and then hear Leanne, be Coach Leanne amazingness, pumping you full. This is the perfect workout if you've had a bad day at work and people weren't listening to you or whatever, and you're like and you just go in there and take it out on this workout and sing. It's magic. I love that one.
I think that one has bitch in it, right?
It does. Mm-hmm.
And we were a little like, do we actually put bitch in like, do we put that in? Do we like, because is somebody going to get offended because
they shouldn't
using that word?
We're
they
all
shouldn't.
adults.
It's a great song.
It is.
It's a fabulous song.
My cat may come here and say hi. I'm just warning you. He likes to do that. I see him up and about.
My cat spent most of the conversation behind us and laying on the floor, but I think he's gone to find food at this point.
You have an orange cat too, don't you?
I do. I have a huge orange cat named Goose.
You're in the orange cat crew. There's a group of us that all have orange kitties and share little stories about their craziness. And so now you're officially in the orange cat group with us. Yes. So, do you have a favorite joy ball? Joy ball. You guys call them Easter eggs.
Joy ball. Yes, we call them Easter eggs because that's what the engineers called them, and that's what they're in. We have
right.
in the app when we're going to add them. They say Easter eggs. My favorite. I used to really love the blue, specifically the blue butterflies, because I do love the actual I forget the name of them. It starts with an M, but Morpho, I think.
Morpho.
Butterflies that they're based on. But it is now the soap bubbles. I love the soap bubbles.
I love the bubbles. I love the bubbles.
I like them specifically because you can add the soap bubbles in an area where there's a less amount of time. Like usually you need a certain amount of time so the field of vision clears, like if you're doing it mid-song.
Yeah.
And the soap bubbles you can put in there because they're clear. You can see through them. So therefore, you can put them in if you have a less amount of time because you will still see the targets coming at you.
Yeah.
So there's a little. I mean, I love them because they're beautiful, but I love that extra little utility that they have.
I like that.
I think it's like 20 seconds you need before they clear. And it's like, you can put these in it with 10 or 15 seconds and you still are going to be fine.
Oh, that's awesome to know. That's awesome to know. So if you could probably use more of them more often since you need less time.
I mean, and honestly, yes, but it has to be called for in the song. You don't want to use.
No, yeah.
You don't want to use an Easter egg or a joy ball. You don't want to use a joy ball if the song is not stopping, because it is more important to keep you moving and keep that vibe going than just to have like,
Yeah.
yes, it's a little joy, but you want to like keep that vibe going. So if you can dance through something, you're going to dance through it. It's like when the song drops out, then yeah,
That makes sense.
It's time for some joy.
I love that. If you could come up with any joy ball of your own, do you have one that you would want to make?
I have several that I'd like. I really have wanted for a long time to have a heart for love songs. I feel like I'd love just a generic confetti,
Oh,
like just because we don't have that. We have bubbles, but just to have something. And I would love to have a slider on our part for, and this sort of goes back to that the utility of the
bubbles.
soap bubbles. I would
Yeah.
love to have a slider that would allow us to control the length of it. So it would be great to have something that would just go like, if you just want to pop and then it like quickly dissipates, cool. Or if it's like, long, but to allow us to be like how long we want that to be. Because there's a lot of songs that if you could just have something that went bam and then it just, went out, but then disappeared so you could get right back into it.
Right.
That would be great too.
That would be so cool. I can see it now
So that
in
is
some songs.
a wish list. This is not like,
Yeah. These are wishes.
we'll see.
Yeah. These are 100% wishes for sure. Which I ask this because I just find it so fascinating to hear what people would say. But if you could switch roles with anyone in the company just to do their job for a day, just to see what it was like, just to experience it, would you have one you would pick?
I would probably want to work on the curation team. Like if I like anywhere here, I would want to do curation if I wasn't doing choreography, because I did in college. I was a DJ.
Oh, really?
So yeah, I did. I worked on our local on the college radio station, and building set lists and building music that works with each other is something I'm passionate about. So yeah, I think I'd want to work on curation. I enjoy every time I'm able to help them, like build workouts. I really have a great time. It's so funny because there's so many people that come together to make supernatural happen, and it's very much a collaboration, and everybody contributes in such a positive way to it. But it is so much fun when we work with each other. Like sometimes you'll work, like the choreographers will work with other choreographers to do things, and that's fabulous. But we'll work with coaches sometimes to build workouts. Like Asia and I are working with Leanne right now on a project on a new style of workout that is very exciting, and it's exciting to do that. But then also like working with curation, like I'll like sometimes they know that some like there's a smaller team of them than there are of the choreographers. I think right now there are 3 full-time curation people and then a head of curation who also curates, but like that's not like he also controls everything.
Right.
And
He's like the dentist.
He's like the dentist, except he actually does curate. Where Dennis, I love Dennis very, very, very much, but I don't think Dennis has ever made a working map. I think I know Dennis has played around with editor and has like fixed maps sometimes, but I don't think he's actually, at least not a flow. Maybe he's done a boxing and I'm not aware of it. I would love to play a Dennis map. So Dennis,
I was about to say, come on, Dennis, give us a map.
I would make a map for us. Dennis has actually helped out the tempo mappers sometimes. Like if we're low on stuff to do, he has learned how to tempo map, and we'll go in and fix things sometimes. But and just help out, like, because every team is doing so much all the time that we all try to help each other as much as possible. But with the creation team, they'll sometimes say, like, hey, anybody love this thing? Or like with Star Wars, they just came straight to me. It's like, okay, what do we, like, they, like,
Right.
help
What do
us
we
with
do
this.
here?
What do we do here? Like, because the problem with Star Wars and like is like, there are a lot of great music, but there's not a lot of great music that will map well. And that's the finding the will map well part of it. With that was a big part of it. But then, like I helped out with some 70s, and some 80s stuff. Like every once in a while, it's like, oh, like, here's 10 songs. We need to make a 6-song list. What would you say? Like, what's gonna be too sleepy, or what's not gonna fit this vibe? So, it's a joy to be asked, because then you have an investment in it when you go to choreograph it.
Yeah, the collaboration, the working together. And I wonder if we ask the curators the same question, if they would say, I want a map. Probably not.
Having talked to the curator, having talked to some of the curators and having actually helped the curators get, like, we had an on-site where there are, like, okay, so there's 3 curators or 4 curators with Gabriel, and the 6 coaches. We got all of them into Editor at an offsite, so we had it downloaded on all of them, got them in there, and we had them trying to place it. And I'm pretty sure none of them want to choreograph after after being in it. It's like, it was an experience, but I don't think any of them would be like, yay, I want to do that. It's
right.
Like, I think they like the idea of it.
Right.
But it is a little similar to writing. There is a big blank page thing when you're getting into Editor, because our editor looks remarkably like the environments that it is the same environments that you are standing in. So we're like standing in the center of wherever we choose to map.
It's just empty.
And then it's just a blank page, and you just listen to the music, and you're like, okay, what do you do? And I think that it's I said earlier, as problem solving. It is exactly problem solving. It's creativity, but it's creativity in the sense of, what movement goes with this music that I'm hearing. What's that flow? And it all comes down to, you make a decision, you pick your rhythm, and then you pick the movement that goes along with that rhythm. And then you have to figure out, will I hurt somebody with that? Like,
yeah.
I actually did something, and I'm like, wait a second, I did that. I can't bring this hand back until I get that hand out of the way, because I was like, oh, I'll do this, and then I'll just repeat it the other side. I'm like, oh no, I have to like uncoil before I can coil the other way.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, it is a lot of problem solving, especially when it's just blank like that and you start putting, it would be hard. No wonder. I know Benny said that when they were hiring people, they let them play in the editor for like a couple of weeks, trying to figure it out and get maps out. So I would think you would need more than an afternoon to create something that was playable.
For your first time. Yeah.
There'd be a lot of frustration at first learning.
Yeah. And editor, now it's, I sort of equate it to like Photoshop, in the sense that, like, I was a graphic designer, so Photoshop is a tool that is incredibly powerful, but incredibly intimidating if you first, like, if you're trying to learn it and you don't know what any of the symbols mean, and you don't know what any of the tools are. And it's like, yes, it can do these really great things, but you have to take the time to learn it. And editor is kind of the same way. It's like, it's very powerful. You just have to learn what all the things are. And then once you learn what all the things are, all your decisions are creative, rather than, like that, it gets to be a creative solution. And then sometimes, like, there are certain, like, we don't always have to turn. We try to, like, if you're doing a low, you're pretty much going to stay in the front portion. And that's all you're going to, that we deliberately make it that way. So you pretty much stay in the front. So you're not doing too much turning because we assume that not everybody who plays low is a beginning person, but all beginners usually start with low, especially if they're unfamiliar with, like if you've played Beat Saber for a long time, maybe you're going to jump in and you're going to go to a medium or a high, maybe. But we just, try to make it welcoming for newbies. The low is, open for newbies. But we usually try to turn, like if it's, if you're not in low, it usually turns to the back and turns to the front at least once during a song. It's not required for it to do so. And I know that there are even some like highs and pros where they don't turn that much because there's so much, the density is so much that they don't want to lose the density by giving space to turn.
Yeah.
So, like you have that ability, but do you always use it? No, but it's problem solving of figuring out what works and where.
So your brain is this super creative problem solving, like, I love this. You are absolutely fascinating to me. I could see hanging out. We could go to some Star Wars cons. I could dress up. You could let me borrow one of your lightsabers because I don't have one.
What color would your lightsaber be if you got one?
Purple. 100%.
I could tell. I mean, you've got the purple windscreen going on.
It's
so
the purple.
Kind of
Purple or teal would definitely be. But then when you explain the teal, my luck, it would only be blue or green. It would never actually be teal.
It's just when the batteries are low. So you just have to put fresh batteries in and you're fine.
Oh man. Yes. So this leads me, this is a very important question for me. This seals if we're going on our date and our friend date. Okay. No, I'm just playing. But what if you could pick an emoji as a hug reaction in Messenger? In wherever you're sending messages and someone says they had a really bad day and you want to give them a hug, not a heart, because like you don't love that they had a bad day, but you want to tell them you care about them. But you had to pick an animal. What would your animal be?
See, there's like the easy answer and then there's the actual answer. So the easy answer would be my name is Kat. So you would think it would be Kat.
Right.
Probably it would be a fox.
A fox?
Like my two like spirit animals are like a fox or an owl. Like if it was a bird, it would be an owl. But if it's yeah.
My mom's is a fox. I asked her this question and she told me a fox. And you're the first person to say fox. I think that's really unique and really cool. And if I have a bad day, now you can just send me a fox emoji and I'll get the hug. Thanks. So, weekly workout suggestion. I'm really excited about your workout suggestion for the community. It's from this year, so it's new and it's boxing. And it's your jams. You want to tell us what it is?
It's my jams, yeah. It's shower songs, but it's kind of a retrofit shower song. It's mostly, it's funny because it's mostly songs that my husband's band played because Take On Me is definitely one of those songs. And it's a song that a workout I actually somewhat collaborated with Curation for because the third song was originally a different song and it was a song I love. And I'm not going to say what it is because it's going to be in something, but probably not boxing because I was trying to map it. I'm just like, I can't map, like I was so excited to do the song, but it is not working. So is it possible like that, we could swap it out? And like I said, here's 3 songs that I think would work in place, like songs that I knew we had. And so we put No More Words in there instead, which again, solid 80s female power song. And I absolutely adore that song, and it just feels so good in boxing. So
For sure. This boxing workout is a fun time. It is a shower song, especially Take On Me. All of it is a shower. I mean, you're just singing, having good
you just
time.
belt it out. Yep.
Yes. Belt it out, get the movements. I mean, it's a great, fantastic workout. And the fact that you had a hand in helping curate the songs, like you said, it gets you more invested in the workout, I think. And
Yeah.
I think this is a great example of your work for the community to see and go, this is Kat's. And then maybe they can start spotting your other work.
What I think is funny is you had asked some of the other choreographers, like if they have a tell, like
Yes.
what their tell is. And in boxing, like Justin likes to start southpaw, like he'll just start anything southpaw.
Yes.
My tell, if it's one of my boxing workouts, unless it has been reorged after, which sometimes happens, the coaches will ask for a change of order after it's been choreographed. It will be choreographed as orthodox southpaw, orthodox southpaw, orthodox southpaw, right down
Really?
the line. I always I think it's part of being the dance teacher in me wants to because most songs, I'm going to say like 90% of the songs that at least I have personally done, you switch twice. If you start in orthodox, you're going to finish in
Right.
orthodox. You start in orthodox, switch to southpaw, go back to orthodox. So the only way to be balanced is if you do that alternating.
Yes.
So then you go down and then you have had a balanced workout. So that is the dance teacher in me making sure you do everything on the left that you did on the right.
I love that. And now I'm going to have to start paying attention and seeing if I can pick that up. But, and like you said, it does get reworked sometimes. Songs get
It
moved
does
in the
get
playlist.
reworked. Yeah. And so that's and I almost always change lanes on a hook or a body hook.
Oh.
I just like that's just feels good to me. So I
It
must
feels good
always,
to me
like,
too.
I very unless I'm doing like I've recently really got into doing the multiple jabs across lanes.
Yeah.
So I'll change lanes with that. But other than that, I usually change on change lanes on a hook or a body hook.
Well, this week, I don't even know if I have this in my notes, but this week, a boxing workout, a medium came out. And it is a girl power. And I noticed you were changing lanes. Like you were saying, it was the targets, the jabs were moving you from lane to lane. And
Yeah.
it was one of the first things I noticed that I absolutely loved. Like it stood out to me. The workout is Girl Power R in bold, and it's with Dewana. It came out this week. It's got Real Love with Mary J. Blige in it. It's got an En Vogue song. It's got Janet
Oh, yeah, that
Jackson
was a
in
fun
it.
one.
It was
Yeah.
so fun. Like this is another empowering. I mean, it's a girl power. Yeah. And you sing along. Now I just put it together. Girl power are a mixture of shower songs, guilty pleasures, and powerful chicks. That's exactly what a girl power is.
Yeah.
I just realized that.
Well, especially the powerful chicks. Like I think that's just like anything that just really like makes you feel like, oh, I can take on the world. That's
world.
really like I can take on the world.
For sure. And the movements went so good, but you tripped me up in the last song. I was not expecting it. I was jamming out. We were changing lanes. I was so into it. And there was this, it's like when the three slip bars and you have to hold. And so I was like doing a crunch
slip hold.
type. Yeah, slip hold. That's it. I was doing like this slip hold crunch situation and I was coming back and around and I was not expecting that block to be there. And I'm usually good about staying in guard. I was too into the music and I missed that block and I was like, oh, and then just kept on going. But yeah, now when I go to play it again, I'll know to be prepared.
Yeah.
Which probably wasn't tricky.
Now
It
you've
was a
warned
me
everybody
problem.
else.
Yeah, I have one. now you'll see hundreds on it instead of 99.9s because I was like, man, I can't wait to come to her and tell her, look at my score. I got you a diamond and 100. No, it was a 99.9. I missed that one block. No, it was fantastic workout. Fantastic workout. And I can't wait for the community to go play it. And when they play your workout suggestion, make sure you rate it, guys. Like, look to the left after you're done the workout, and we'll come up with a little screen, hit love, like, all the things, movement, whatever your feelings on the workout. It's important. That's how they hear our thoughts, and we get new cool workouts like the ones we just experienced if we liked them, or not that workout because we didn't like that one. It's important, it's important that they hear our feedback.
It is. And so few people, I mean, honestly, from the amount of people that rate workouts is fairly low because most people just miss it or don't realize that they can. So your voice, if you rate the workouts, this is a little tip for you, your voice is probably amplified by 1,000% if you rate, because not everybody rates. So the people who do rate actually have more say in how things go going forward.
I think that's really awesome that you guys pay attention to that and hear our feedback.
Oh, we care a lot. If you send us feedback in pretty much any way, like through the Facebook group, there are people in the Facebook group all the time, like who that's their job to be in the Facebook group, and like any of the ratings, like any of the write-in stuff, if that definitely does get analyzed. And it's so funny because a lot of times there'll be something that maybe doesn't get great ratings, but the comments on it are just like fabulous. Like the people who loved it so much, but then, like overall, maybe not the most people loved it, but the people who loved it enough to tell us in words. So it's always great. We love hearing from you guys.
Every single workout you guys put out is for someone. There's a workout for someone belongs to a workout. It might not be my favorite workout, but it's someone else's. And I think you guys do a fantastic job at listening to all of the requests and demands and comments that you get from all of the people and come together to create such an incredible app. Fitness. I mean, I don't even know how to describe it to people sometimes, like, cause it's more than just a workout for me and for a lot of us. You got the community, you got the cook. I mean, it's just so much. I don't know how you explain that to someone. It's a whole life style. I don't even know, man. I just know that I love it. And so many of us do. And we appreciate all the hard work that you do to make it so magical for so many people. Truly.
Thank you. And it is definitely, we are inspired by you guys. So keep doing it, keep telling us about it. And I'm so happy to be here and be able to talk to you guys about it.
Same. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in and coming to hang out with us and meeting Kat. And hopefully you'll see her around in the community. Now you'll know who she is when she leaves comments places or, likes your workout, you'll know.
Oh, I should say that in Facebook, I use my full name, which is Katrin. So Katrin Auch. If you see Katrin Auch, it is the same person. That is Kat.
It's the same. And now you'll know. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out with us and hope you guys have a great day. Bye. Thanks for joining us on today's episode of For the Love of the Map. As always, you can join the discussion in the private Facebook group and follow along with show updates on Instagram and TikTok. Links can be found in the description below. If you find value in the show, please share it with your friends. Your comments, likes, and reviews are invaluable, and I cannot thank you guys enough. See you next time.